Hi guys, I wanted to change up my YouTube channel a little bit. So this one is going to be about my endometriosis story. So I'll get straight into it then. So I was 11, like 10 or 11 when I first got my period. I always had pain, like period pain, but it wasn't until I was 21 it started to get really bad, and I didn't know what was going on. Like, I had just moved. I moved from Darwin. I grew up in Darwin, and I moved to Mildura with my parents, and after 3 months I'd moved back to Darwin for a year. And I just moved back to Darwin, and I was staying with a family friend, and I remember I had a shower and I went into my room to get changed, and I literally just went to stand up and I nearly collapsed in pain. So can't really recall, like, I think I might have asked a GP up there at the time what was going on. I'm not sure. I might have just had painkillers, I don't know. But yeah, I was only up there for a year, like I said, and then I moved to Melbourne, and it took probably another, I think, 2 years, maybe less, of seeing doctors and stuff about the period pain, because it was just getting worse and worse. And it was only during when I had the periods, but it was still really bad. So I'd seen a few different doctors about it, and I was just put on the pill and sort of told, oh no, it's okay, it's normal. And I was seeing this doctor. I'd seen him for a while, and I'd only ever asked female doctors because I thought, oh, you know, female issue, like, felt a bit embarrassed. And so I thought, oh well, bugger it, I've been seeing this doctor for a while, so I'll ask him. So I asked him, and he had, I don't know, another doctor in there at the time, and I was like, well, I'll still ask. So I asked, and they both said endometriosis, and I was like, endo what? So I got a referral to a gynecologist, and he went through all my symptoms and everything. Basically, the symptoms were, like really heavy bleeding, really excruciating pain, clotting, like, pretty bad pain and everything. And so, like, to the point where, like, Panadol wasn't doing anything, and like Nurofen or anything like that didn't really work. So he referred me to have surgery. I didn't know, but I had to have endometriosis diagnosed. You have to have keyhole surgery so that they can see, because endometriosis is so microscopic that they can't see it. I've later found out that you can actually see some endometriosis through what's called a dye scan, which picks up, it's called deep infiltrating endometriosis, and that's where it can have, like, attached other organs to other organs, like, you know, your uterus to your bowel, your ovaries to the wall of your stomach, and all that sort of stuff. So if it's bad enough, it can be seen through an ultrasound, but most of the time it can't. So you do have to have laparoscopy. But even to have it diagnosed, you still have to have a laparoscopy so that they can send off samples for it to be tested in the pathology, for it to come back that yes, it is endometriosis. So I was referred, and I couldn't afford to go private, so I waited, I think it was only about 3 months, and I had surgery, and I was absolutely petrified. I was 23. That was the first surgery I'd ever had in my life. And so I went and had surgery, and when I woke up from surgery, I was told, yes, I did have endometriosis. I had to go back to my specialist 6 weeks later, and he said that I think I was put on the pill. Can't really remember. I'm 27 now, so I think I was put on the pill, and then it ended up coming back 6 months later. And at the time I didn't know, but when you have surgery, there's 2 different surgeries you can have. So you can have ablation surgery, which is what I had at the first time, which is basically they just burn the top layer of it, whereas excision surgery is where they cut it out and they cut like below where the endometriosis is, so they actually take all of it if they can. So it had come back after about 6 months, so I went back to my GP about it, and he referred me back to my gynecologist, and I went to the gynecologist, and he booked me in again, or referred me for surgery, but this time he referred me for excision surgery. So this time the wait time was a lot longer, and by this stage, originally I was only ever having pain during my periods, and by this stage I was having pain all the time, like 24/7, and it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And I was working, and it was just really hard because I'd go to work. Some days I'd have to come home early, other days I just couldn't even get out of bed to go to work. I was just in that much chronic pain. So I had gone back to the gynecologist, couldn't afford to go private again, so I went back on the public waiting list, and this time I had to wait 8 months, I think it was, to have surgery. I had surgery again, and they excised the endometriosis, and this time I agreed to having, this time I agreed to having the Mirena put in, which is contraception. So they wanted me to be on some form of contraception to help prevent the growth of endometriosis coming back again, or coming back as soon. And so basically the Mirena IUD is like this little bar thing, and it's about that long and like a T sort of shape, and they put it into like your uterus, and basically what it does is it thickens the lining of the uterus, I think it is, or the cervix. So basically, like, if any sperm hits it, it can't travel through, and it like kills it. And I didn't get a period on it, so but unfortunately it doesn't stop endometriosis from coming back. So I'd had that in for about 12 months and I started getting pain back again. And so I went back to my GP, went back to the gynecologist, and he was like, no, it's highly unlikely because you've got the Mirena. It's highly unlikely that you've got endo back again. Go have a pelvic ultrasound done. So I went and had that done. Nothing showed up. And he was like, no, I don't think it's anything, blah, blah, blah. So this went on a couple of times, went back and forth, and I was sick of paying money to not get anywhere. So I think by this stage I had found a support group on Facebook, and I was talking to the girls on there, and they were telling me about different specialists in my city and, you know, who to go to and stuff. So I found a new specialist and I went and saw him, and he said to me, no, endometriosis can actually come back with the Mirena even though you don't have a period. So I want you to go have the dye scan. So I went and had the dye scan done and nothing showed up. And he goes, oh, I want to put you on the pill as well, and come back in sort of 6 months if this isn't working. So I tried that and I only lasted, I don't even know, like not even 2 weeks, I don't think, on the pill. I went back to my GP and I was like crying and in agony, and I was like, I can't handle this pain, like it's just ridiculous. So he rang my gynecologist and spoke to him, and I got a call back from the receptionist from my gynecologist, who then said that to come in for an appointment and they will refer me for surgery. So I did that. Again, I couldn't afford to go private, so I was put on the public wait list, and I was told it was going to be at least 12 months, if not more. So I did that. After about a month on the waiting list, the pain was just getting absolutely excruciating, and I was talking to a friend of mine who is also got endometriosis, and she suggested that I ring up and ask my specialist for any other names that of specialists who can do the operation. So I did that. I got a couple of names. I rang the booking at the hospital and gave them the 2 names, and I actually got a booking like 2 months away, so which was amazing because like that was like 3 months after the actual initial thing, which was just really fast. So I did that, went and had surgery done, and I had the Mirena removed and replaced. The original Mirena that I'd had it in for 2 years, and it was embedded in my uterus, so they had to pull it out in 3 pieces. And then I had endometriosis on my left ovary, all over like my uterus, and on the pouch of Douglas, which is a tiny little bit behind the uterus and in front of the bowel. And quite often a lot of women who have it there, if it's left long enough, it'll end up attaching the bowel and the uterus together. Some women have had to have like bowel resections and everything done during because of all that. So I was lucky in that way. So I had the myelina replaced. I woke up in hospital and they told me how it all went and everything, and I was moved into like the recovery lounge, and I remember my left arm where the cannula had been, like my whole arm was in a heap of pain. Like I was in so much pain, and like my whole arm was like really swollen, and like my hand was like really purple, and I couldn't understand what was going on. Like I had to look down at my arm. It felt like it was broken. Like I've never had a broken arm, but I think that's what it would feel like. Anyway, turned out that it ended up being a DVT in my arm, and I was extremely lucky because I was sent home from that hospital before seeing a doctor, and then I ended up speaking to a nurse on call who said, no, get to an emergency department straight away. So I went to a different hospital. I went there, and the emergency department, like the triage nurse, was just like, oh no, that's normal, that's just, you know, where the needles hit the vein and the anaesthetic's gone into your soft tissue. So that was on the same day as my operation. So I decided to go home because I was in a lot of pain. So I went home, and the next day I wasn't convinced with the whole arm thing. So I went to my GP, who was straight away was like, no, I don't think that's right. Suspected DVT. So I had to go have an ultrasound done, and they told me to go straight to emergency again. So I went to emergency, and I ended up had to stay overnight in emergency, being monitored, and I had to have blood thinning medication, so Clexane injections and stuff to help with the clot, and then I had to be on medication for, I think it was 3 months afterwards, and then I had to have a follow-up ultrasound done, and it was all gone, thankfully. So so that was really scary, but yeah. And then I ended up, after about probably about 2 or 3 months after my surgery, I decided I wanted the myelina out because I was having some issues and stuff with it, and it was the biggest fight and a half to get that thing removed. I ended up just over a year after my surgery, I had to have more surgery, go under a general anaesthetic to have it taken out, because my cervix sits too high up or something, so they couldn't see to pull it out normally. So and then I had more complications after that. Ended up sort of having a couple of fainting spells after that. So far that is my endometriosis story. I'm now 4 months post that last operation. I am having periods every month now. Currently though, I'm on day 11 of a period. Sorry about the light. And it doesn't look like it's going to slow down anytime soon. I've got an appointment with my GP in 2 days. So hopefully he can give me something to stop it for the time being. But yeah, I just wanted to jump on here and tell you my story, tell you that if anyone's got any symptoms like extremely painful periods, pain either during your period or all the time, 24/7, extremely heavy periods to the point where you're passing clots, and if Nurofen not working, if Panadol's not working, Ponstan, that sort of thing isn't working for your pain, then that's not normal. And I really suggest, do not stop seeking a second opinion. If you have to seek 5-10 different opinions, do it, because even though I've had 3 surgeries, it's so much, like, you feel so much better, like you get a quality of life between surgeries, like you at least get some time when you have no pain, like, and it's the best feeling ever. Like, I just can't stress that enough. If you can, jump onto Facebook, jump onto social media, like, get a support system of other women who are going through the same thing as you, because honestly it has been an absolute lifesaver for me. Like, it's just amazing, like the amount of support I've had, and I've made amazing friends on the internet, and we just get each other like no one else, and some days you'll have crappy days where someone will say something against you, or say that you're lazy, or say that but you can talk to these girls and they know what it's like, because they've had people say that about them, and we build each other up and we help each other. So that's my story for now. Let me know in the comments if you like it. If you want to hear more about my endo story, if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to comment below. I might do another video about my endo. I've also been diagnosed with fibromyalgia as well recently, so I'll do another video maybe later this week about that. So that's it for now, but I thank you if you've watched this the whole way through, and yeah, I will upload another video at a later stage. Thank you.